Hi, my name is John Dwyer. And I believe that the government and the institutions try really hard to take the fun out of being successful. But it doesn't have to be that way. I'm living proof, and so are the people that I work with. Day after day, I continue to see successful people make simple financial mistakes with their money. Mistakes that are unknowingly costing them hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over their lifetime. If you would like to experience epic upside, then these videos are for you.
All right, so today we're going to talk about the eighth wonder of the world. Is that right?
That's right.
Do people know what that is?
Well, we'll find out, right? So the eighth wonder of the world, Albert Einstein actually phrased this coin, the eighth wonder of the world is the miracle of compounding interest.
Compounding interest.
Compounding interest. And, what's interesting, Maria, is that,
it's not what I would probably call the eighth wonder of the world.
Well, in his eyes, right?
We'll go with it.
In his mind, the eighth wonder of the world was the miracle of compounding interest. And what's really interesting is that throughout my work and throughout the years of understanding finance, right? And what kind of brought me to this point in the journey with helping clients understand how wealth really works and what we thought to be true just turned out not to be true, comes at a point to where the miracle of compounding interest is a really critical point to understand. And what I mean by that is that, over the years, as I was working with clients doing the traditional modeling, and the idea is that clients, and we followed the rule book, we followed the game plan of what we were supposed to do. And clients in their 50s thought they should be up here on that exponential curve. And they found themselves down here and they couldn't figure out why. Because the miracle of compounding interest only exists if you don't spend any of your money. And so it's really not, if planning was a science, right, and you could just put money into an account and you would just have this exponential compounding interest growth curve, then why aren't we able to retire and why aren't we able to have that same standard of living that we had during our working career?
Right. Why isn't everybody experiencing this great
miracle, right? And it is truly a miracle.
If it's in a vacuum.
Well, if it's in a vacuum and if you can stay on the curve.
Right.
Right? And so that's what traditional planning, when you look at and study all these economic strategies and these ideas in the traditional space, they always talk about the eighth wonder of the world, the miracle of compounding interest. But again, if planning was truly a science, then why aren't people experiencing it?
So why aren't they? Tell me a little bit more about that.
And why they're not. Well, let me back up and let me just kind of give you a definition of compounding interest.
That would be good.
So the miracle of compounding interest is just said, well, if you have a dollar, right, and it earns a dollar, now you have $2 that are earning.
Okay.
So the money just continues to compound and the earnings continue to compound on top of the earnings. Right? And so what you see is this exponential curve that continues to grow, and that's the miracle of compounding interest.
Okay.
And the problem is what I mentioned before, is that we're taught that that's how the miracle works. But again, people are continually getting offset, or what I call shifting the growth curve. So let's take an example for a minute. Okay? College planning is a huge thing that people are trying to figure out, because a lot of them want to pay for their kids' college.
Right.
Here's another thing that traditional planning continues to look at money from a microeconomic perspective, meaning that they try to compartmentalize or tell us that we should have our college planning funds over here and our retirement money over here. Well, that's microeconomic decisions, or that's microeconomic thinking, where the money is macro. We only have so much cash flow. We only have so much money to go around. Why are we trying to compartmentalize these different issues?
Why do they?
It's just because of how they process and try to micromanage or micro plan for the outcome.
It's easier?
Well, it's easier, right? So we're going to plan for college, right? Not thinking that we should use those dollars over and over and over again for our benefit, not the institution's benefits.
Right.
Okay, so
back to your example.
So back to my college planning example, right? A lot of people will start to fund money in these accounts called the 529 plan.
Okay.
Right? And you put money in these accounts for 10, 18 years until the kids go to school. And when the kids go to school, what do you do to the account?
No idea.
You spend it. You drain the account, right? You use your money, you put it into an account for the benefit of your kids to go to school.
Okay.
And when it's time for them to go to school, you pay the institutions, so you drain the account.
Okay.
For the benefit of them to go to school. Now, a lot of people will say, well, at least my kids had the education, which is true. I'm not discounting or saying that paying for college isn't important.
Right.
What I'm saying is how we're doing it is not benefiting us, because if I give my money away, do you get the miracle of compounding interest?
No.
No, it goes to the institutions and or the endowment funds and everybody else. They get to enjoy the miracle, but not you.
Got it.
And so if we can imagine for a minute the miracle or that compounding exponential curve, when you drain the account, you have now shifted that account and shifted that growth curve, not only just for this short period of time, but forever. And we talked about opportunity costs, right? And here's the true cost of college. People will often think, okay, I mean, college is one of the most expensive things right now too, and the rate of that it's growing, right, is astronomical. So the cost of college just isn't the cost of what you pay for college, right? And we know the cost of college is increasing, but here's the thing, it's the opportunity cost. Again,
What do you mean by that?
Well, again, it's those dollars that you pay and give to the institutions are no longer in your financial picture earning money for you. So the real cost, the true cost of college is not what you just paid, it's what that money could have earned for you over your lifetime.
Right.
And Maria, oftentimes it can represent hundreds, if not millions of dollars away from you. And so that's when we talk about the miracle of compounding interest. It's truly the miracle, but you have to stay on the curve.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
You have to know how to work
You can't get off of it. And so how do we do that? Because it's like, well, John, I have to spend money.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
and I understand that. We also have to understand there's economic principles to where you don't have to get off the compounding curve. Okay, so one
Like,
of the,
for example?
well, so for an example, right? So one of the things that we're doing for our kids is that we're putting money into an account, right? And we're going to use a 10-year period of time where we're investing $100,000 into the account. Now, this is built in such a way to where when our kids get to school, there's going to be enough money off that 10 years, off the $100,000 investment, to where they'll have about $25,000 a year to go to school.
Okay.
For their 4 years.
Okay.
Right? And after that time period, okay, there's going to be enough for $30,000 to buy a car like when they're 25, 26, or for a down payment of their house. And then as time goes by, when they hit retirement age, there's going to be enough to where there's $30,000 of income for them for the rest of their life.
So are you going to tell us what that vehicle is?
Again, we'll get into that maybe later on, but that's more of a product discussion. Again, see, your mindset and your thought process goes
Right.
to what is this product?
Yeah.
It's not product.
What's
It's-
the magic product?
It's not. There is no such thing as a magic product, but it's the strategy and understanding. The miracle of compounding interest is not the miracle. And Albert Einstein missed it by one word. Okay, what he missed it by, it's not the miracle of compounding interest that matters. It's the miracle of uninterrupted compounding interest that matters.
Oh, sure.
Right, and so.
You're smarter than Einstein.
I know, right? I'm pretty brilliant, okay? But when we think about this, okay, it's all about understanding that it's not either or. Okay, traditional planning has us thinking of money in microeconomic compartments as either I do this, either I save for college, or
Right.
either I save for retirement. It has to be an and strategy. Meaning we're allowed to do this and other things with our money. See, we never want to allow our dollars to just do one thing. We want to constantly keep them moving and growing and doing other things as they continue to compound and never get off that compounding curve.
Got it.
So college is one major issue, one huge issue as it relates to killing the miracle of compounding interest. It's one of the biggest transfers of wealth that we experience when people are trying to save for save for college because they don't get to use those dollars again back in retirement. And the example that I shared with you is a way to do that without killing that miracle of compounding interest. That's the only way that our kids are going to have the experience to where they can pay for college. We're going to be able to use money again to buy a home.
Sure.
And then the money's going to continue to compound and grow, and now we can use it for retirement and distribution.
It sounds
I'll
like
just-
a way better plan
it's-
than...
Again, yeah, it's a way better plan, and it's all strategy. Right? And see, when we think about certain things about what we're doing with our money, again, the institutions have 4 rules. They want our money, they want it on an ongoing basis, they want to hang on to it as long as they can, they want to give as little back as possible. These types of accounts are structured in such a way to benefit the institutions. Okay? And again, I'm not saying that paying for college is bad.
It's just
Right?
how you
It's just
how
how
you pay for
how
it.
you do it,
Yeah.
right? So as it relates to the miracle of compounding interest, right, there's other components, okay? Because the institutions or the financial planning game will tell us it's the miracle that matters, right? And it is. We just can't interrupt it. So let's take it one step further,
Okay.
right? So the next step is that people get to a point to where they start to make good money, they start to have some income, and now they start to save. And so one of the accounts that they'll save in is maybe after-tax investing. Right, and so they're saving their money, and the money is growing and compounding, which is great, right? We're getting good rates of return, But along with that comes the compounding tax,
Oh.
or tax and compounding tax. Because just because as the account is growing, well, so is the tax component to it,
Sure.
right? And so what happens is that when most people start to save, they start incurring some compounding tax, and for a while they may be getting refunds on their tax returns because their incomes are lower, right?
Yep.
And so it's not a big deal to pay additional tax. Now their refund will continue to get lower and lower and
Smaller.
lower and lower,
Yep.
right? Because their accounts are growing.
Right.
And then it gets to a point, and a lot of CPAs will recognize this and mention this and say, okay, once that account gets to a certain level, right, don't pay the tax out of the cash flow. Let's pay the tax out of the account.
Okay.
And if you're paying taxes out of the account, well, what happens to the miracle of compounding interest?
It doesn't work.
It goes down,
Yeah.
right? So taxes and fees are a huge impact on account values, right? Now, it's fair to say, well, John, there's other accounts to where you don't have to compound the tax and pay it every single year. We have tax deferral plans,
True.
right, which we talked about, which is
Yep.
a 401k, but the tax implication still hits home when you come time to distribute
end.
at the end.
Yep.
Right? So understanding that things that we're doing from a planning perspective is constantly shifting and affecting that growth curve. We never want to get off that miracle of compounding interest, but we can't interrupt it. See, we never want to lose the forward momentum of our wealth.
Sure.
Now, another component that I think is really interesting, okay, is that the older we get, right, or let me back up. When we think about the miracle of compounding interest, that curve, okay,
Okay.
our money, when we first start out, remember when the compounding curve starts, we put $1 in, it earns $1, and then
Yep.
now we have $2 and starts to grow, right? So early on in our investing years, that compounding curve takes time to grow. And it isn't until the later years to where we reach what we call the exponential curve,
Okay.
okay? And that starts to happen the older we get, and typically it's closer to retirement.
Okay.
What I find interesting is from an asset allocation perspective. Okay, the older we get and the closer to retirement, do you think that we're supposed to take on less risk with our money or more risk with our
I
money?
would think less.
Yeah, less risk, right? From an asset diversification or asset allocation perspective, we're taught that the closer we get to retirement, we can't take on as much risk because it's a chance of loss.
Yeah.
And so when we look at asset allocation models, typically it's 100 minus your age. So if you're 50, you're probably not going to be in an 80% stock portfolio or a 20% and a 20% bond portfolio. You're going to start shifting your growth or shifting your asset allocation to more conservative assets. Well, if the stock proponent is the one that's growing the exponential curve and you move 50% of your money to bond position, what did you just do to the growth curve?
I have no idea. You lost me.
You stopped it.
Okay.
You reduced it.
Are you talking about James Bond? I'm not sure.
You reduced the growth curve.
Okay.
I mean, you are right at a point to where you're going to hit all this exponential growth, and because of risk or time, you have to go into a safer asset allocation, and your rate of return reduces.
Okay.
And so I find it really fascinating that the industry talks about the miracle of compounding interest, yet it seems like everything that we're doing contradicts that.
Opposite of that. Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying.
And that's why when people are, getting close to retirement, they're scratching their head and they say, well, I was
What
supposed
happened,
Like,
right?
what happened?
Yeah.
It's because they spent the miracle. They spent the money. And so we have...
Without knowing it.
Without knowing it. Because we have to spend money. Right? But we just have to understand that there's more efficient ways to do it. And
And you'll help us with that?
and yeah, we will. And we help our clients understand that there's better ways to do it to where you never have to lose the forward momentum of your wealth.
Right. You can capitalize on the gain.
You can count on the gain, and again, it's using it's the and strategy, right? We're not making either or decisions, right? We're allowing ourselves to understand the velocity of money component, okay, of what financial institutions do all day, every day.
Right. Yeah.
Again, they understand how to make money.
They're the best ones at it.
I find it interesting that the institutions who know how to make money and are in the business of making money, right, from a planning perspective, we're doing the exact opposite of what they're doing. Of what they're doing.
Yep.
And we
expect a different result.
We expect a different result, and please give me the definition of insanity. It's
Yeah.
this doing the same thing over and over and again, trying to get a different result.
So we should do what the banks do.
Look at what the banks do. Look at what the institutions are doing, right? And again, they understand the miracle of uninterrupted compounding interest.
Yep.
They understand how wealth works. They're not necessarily tying their money up into accounts and then draining the account,
Right.
right? They're using OPM, other people's money, constantly. And so it's really important to understand that the miracle of compounding interest does exist, but you have to understand how to never to interrupt it.
If we wanted to learn more about how we can structure, if someone wanted to learn more about how they can structure their kids' college savings, would you be the guy to talk to?
Absolutely. Those are things that we talk to our clients about all the
Okay.
time, but we just show them how to do it more efficiently.
Right. And
Until
you would
we're-
help them set that up and structure
Yep.
it the right way where they are having uninterrupted.
Yep, and how they can use the money over and over and again. Again, it's because it's not an either or decision. We want our clients who have the desire to put their kids through school. That's important,
Yeah.
right? But we just want to show them how to do it more efficiently to where they're not losing hundreds, if not millions of dollars away from their retirement years. And it has a huge impact. And again, it's strategy. It's not product. It's all around certain strategies. Now, there is products that you have to utilize in order to create the strategy,
Right.
but we first look at what's going on and what people have, and then that strategy is created around and organized
The
about.
right products with the right strategy.
Yep, and our industry is just trying to
Right
sell.
financial advisor.
and our industry is just trying to sell product with no strategy. And so people have what I refer to as the financial junk drawer. They just have stuff everywhere, and they don't know why they have it. Again, it's going down that highway with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake.
And you help everything work together.
We coordinate and integrate
Cool.
with all the things that they're doing.
Thanks for teaching us.
You're welcome.